Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is German culture shocks as an American exchange student. Now, if you were an American exchange student, if you're an exchange student and you've been to Germany, you probably know what she's gonna talk about. But this is Montana Showalter. She, from my understanding, was a exchange student in Germany on around 2019, 2020, something like that. And this is, I think, her most popular video. Yeah, what she's talking about, what she's saying, I've been studying abroad in Germany for 100 days now, and I watched a recent video of hers, and her German skills have improved tremendously. Now, let's do not much more talking, let's get right to the video and see what she, well, you know, realized during her time here, or, witnessed. Let's go.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Montana. I'm studying abroad in Germany. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, you should go watch those.
Also, this was suggested by a viewer of mine. I don't remember your name, but if you're out there, you know who you are.
But today I'm going to be talking about 15 or so differences that I've noticed in Germany
15.
and the biggest culture shocks that I've experienced so far. I'm going to start off with some of the less controversial differences, and then towards the end I'm going to talk more about the personality and social differences that I've noticed here.
Alright, let's go.
I have a list on my phone. If I'm looking down, that's why. The first culture shock that I have about living in Germany is that on Sundays everything here is closed.
True. I've said this plenty of times in other videos. It's one of the worst things ever.
With the exception of cafes, and then cafes. No.
Yeah.
But pretty much just cafes and some restaurants are open on Sundays. But grocery stores are closed,
Yeah.
malls closed, everything
Done.
in general is closed on Sundays in Germany because it's supposed to be a family day and you're supposed to relax, and also is a day of religion. People are still religious, but they don't necessarily go to church every Sunday.
That's true. Actually, I personally know zero Germans that actually go to church, and there's definitely some. I mean, the older people in my family, they're definitely. They would say that they're churchgoers, but I don't really think so. Uh, yeah, that's true. But you can't do anything, and I think there's one thing you can do on a Sunday, though. I think there's one thing, and this is quite pathetic that you can't do anything. I mean, it's supposed to be family day, right? But you can't do anything. I think the movies or cinema, whatever you want to call it, that's open. I think.
The second culture shock, this isn't so much a culture shock, it's just something different, is that a lot of people in Germany drive stick shift or
True.
manual, so when the car isn't on automatic, and so the stoplights here, they turn yellow before they turn green again. Like in the US, it's
Yes.
just red and then it'll turn green. But here it goes, when something's red, it'll turn to yellow and then green, because I think that you need that time to start up your car. I'm not really sure.
Could be
I don't know
true.
how to drive
Yeah.
stick shift, but I can't drive here anyway.
Many Americans seem to. I mean, she's from the States. Keep this in mind. Honestly, I think I only know one person myself from the States, and he was in the military, so I'm not surprised that he knows how to drive manual. But in Germany, it's mandatory to drive manual. I was never allowed to use to drive on. Like, I drove five different. Like, this was a special thing, but I drove 5 different cars during my time in driving school. But I was always forced to drive manual. Like, I mean, seriously, I've never driven automatic.
My next culture shock, while we're on the topic of cars, is that gas here is so expensive. And I use public transportation, the bus system, to get to school and basically to get to wherever I needed. But gas here, I didn't realize how expensive it was, because first off, it's in euros, but then second off, it's in liters, and we use gallons in the US. But one time I was like curious to figure out how much it actually is, and it's like $5.30 a gallon here
Yeah.
in Germany. And I know that in the US we complain when it reaches close to $3 a gallon, and if there's like a 2-cent difference or a 10-cent difference, then we'll drive to another gas station.
It's true. I mean, German. That's a big reason why there's no. I mean, that's one of the reasons why in Germany there's no um, road trip. Like why Germany's no road trip culture, because one, it's too expensive, and I mean Germany's not that big of a country if you think about it. I mean, you drive a couple hours and you're already from one end to the other, you know. So, but yeah, it's true. Way too expensive here.
Another thing that is crazy is there's no ice. Like, I know that this was in the previous video, but I just have to address it
Ice?
again because there's no ice in pretty much any of the drinks unless you ask for
Oh.
it, and when you ask for it, you look weird. It's just something that you have to get used to here in Germany. And for example, at the McDonald's especially, everyone here loves McDonald's. But when you get a soda, first off, it's super expensive. Second off, it's like this big. Their large is the size of an American small. And that just goes to show how unhealthy we are in the US.
Well, it's just really you get more bang for your buck in the States. That's really what it is. I mean, you know, you pay the same amount here and you get less, right? And I prefer my drinks with ice. I have ice in this cup right here, right now. Maybe you can you hear it? Yes. But Germans don't. They don't like ice. I don't know.
But they don't put ice in the drink in the sodas.
They used to.
And
By the way, why do people like McDonald's here? It's because it's really the only option that we have. Literally, we got three fast food places here. Three fast food: McDonald's, Burger King, sometimes KFC. That's it.
I guess it's because you're paying for the soda, and if you put in ice, then you'd really be getting no soda. But you definitely have to get used to that because it's not that the soda's warm, it's just not like ice cold like in the US. Another thing about this style here is that every single girl in Germany has a middle part. And
True.
it's not like this is a big culture shock, but I honestly was sitting on the bus looking at all of the girls going into school, and every single girl had a middle part.
Yeah, it's very boring.
And I know I say this, and there are plenty of German girls who don't have middle parts, but that I never knew that. I guess it's a very European or a very German style thing, but personally, I cannot put my hair in a middle part. Like, just, it doesn't go. So, I can't take on that German trend. These small...
Well, Germans are just so boring, you know? I mean, they're very, very simple, very, not very creative when it comes to that part, so I'm not surprised. I mean...
Differences that I've noticed here that is not like in the US is that when people sign their name, like a signature, it's normally just the last name. So like everyone in the family would have the same, not the same signature, but they would all sign their last name. Versus in the US, we sign normally first and last name.
Oh.
Another difference for sure is the like cafe and drinking culture. Drinking culture itself is also different here, but I'm specifically going to talk about cafe culture because people here just love going to cafes, and I love this. It's so fun. You just go to a cafe, get your tea or your coffee, and sit with friends and drink your coffee. Or every Sunday, my host family and I, we go to a cafe. And just in the US, we have Starbucks, but at Starbucks you get your coffee and you go, or there's like a drive-through line at Starbucks. So we don't have this culture where you sit down and you just sip tea or sip coffee and talk with another person. That's a very European thing, I think, and there are definitely some places in the United States that are trying to make this a culture, but it's just definitely not as popular. Now I'm gonna talk about the more personality traits that have been a shock to me.
I'm listening now.
And the first being that Germans are a lot more aware of their security and their privacy, especially when it comes... I just said especially really weird. Especially when it comes to online privacy. Whenever you want to take a picture of someone or a group, or especially when I'm filming these YouTube videos, I have to ask if it's okay, if that person wants to be in the photo, or if they want to be in the video, because just in general, they're really protective of what about them goes online, and that's really responsible. Especially in the US, we've seen all these scandals where people have photos released online and then their careers damaged, or it's very irresponsible what they're putting on social media. Culture of being cautious about what goes online is much more prevalent in Germany. And also, just in general, not wanting to be in pictures or videos is much more common. Like in Bad Laspa, when we were filming, a lot of times the teamers and teachers would just say, like, no, I don't want to be in the picture. And
Yeah, and it's usually not for any good reasons either. I mean, really, who's gonna recognize you from a picture? But it's true. It's true in what she said. I mean, the whole vlogging, things that exist in the States, which I think it's normal. I mean, walking around with a obviously, if you're up in someone's face, with a camera, that's not really cool. But if you're butthurt just because someone's walking around with a camera, right, and just filming their day, I mean, it doesn't hurt anybody. But here in Germany, you can't really do that. I cannot tell you the last time I saw someone walking around with a cam. And it's usually when they walk around with a cam, they always point at the floor because they don't want to film anyone on accident. But yeah, just very butthurt. If you want to have a great example of how privacy is looked at here in Germany, is when you go to Google Maps, and when you're trying to use Street View, use the Street View, like the little yellow guy, like pull him up and then put him, like, not don't put him anywhere on the map, but just take him basically, and then you'll see that you can do it. I think everywhere in Europe, in every single country except for Germany. And maybe there's one other country, but yeah, who cares?
and would step out. Another personality trait that is much different here than in the US is that you don't talk to strangers really. I know that in the US you smile at everyone on the street and you wave, and when even just a
Yeah.
random person is walking by with their dog, you're like, oh hi, and you can say like, oh, your dog's so cute.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think that's great. You can actually have easy small talk with people in the States. Here, it's not at all. But I'm sure she's gonna go over that in a second.
But here it's much more uncommon to do that, especially on the bus, I noticed. So in public transport in the US, the very few public transport systems that we have, you can start up a conversation with someone next to you, or maybe on an airplane you could also start up a conversation. But here on the bus, you don't really talk to people next to you if you don't know them. That would just definitely be very strange. And then the
Yeah, whenever I was in an airplane, whenever a German was sitting next to me, whether it was a guy or a girl or a woman, they purposely try to sit somewhere else if they can. They really don't want to sit next to you, and they definitely don't start a conversation with you. It was only ever people from, I don't know who I talked to the most. I definitely on my way to the States, I definitely talked to an American. I think there was someone from Israel that I talked to as well on my way to Greece once. But Americans and the people from Greece, I mean, those people definitely want to strike up a conversation. But Germans just, they don't want to communicate. They don't want to. Germans don't really want to socialize, to be honest.
the personality trait that I've noticed that's different here, or I guess social aspect, is that Germans are much more honest and upfront with things. For example, I have a friend and we're sitting next to each other in German class, or maybe I think it was geography, and we're writing and taking notes, and I'm writing my notes and I have like a calligraphy pen for the header, and it looks really good, and then the rest of my notes just look super bad. I just take them with pencil. And he looked over at me and he said, oh, your calligraphy at the top is really good, but your handwriting is so bad.
No guy ever said that.
I was like, thank you. But it's funny. It's just very different. Another example was someone came up to me, and one of my friends, of course, and he was just like, oh, I don't like your jeans. I was like, thank you,
Yes.
I guess. I like them, so I'm gonna
Definitely
wear them.
happens.
But it's very different than in the US. People probably would not say that to you as upfront, but I actually really like the honesty here because it's less superficial and people are just so upfront about things.
Yeah, the bad thing though is that the Germans only ever point out the bad stuff. They never point out the good stuff. I mean, yeah, what's the ratio? Like a German says 10 bad things before he makes one compliment, and even the one compliment, that was 80% chance that that person would even dare to make a compliment.
I really wish that it was like that in the US sometimes. Another example that I remembered of like German honesty is I was having a conversation with a friend, and you know when you can tell that someone's like looking and analyzing your face, and then like mid conversation she stopped and was like, "You need to do your eyebrows." And I was like, "Yeah, I know," because I had just looked in the mirror that morning and like thought to myself, I really need to do my eyebrows. But this honesty, it may sound rude when you're saying it like out of context, but it's not rude in the moment, and it's just, you know that they care about you, and that they trust the relationship that you have, and they're willing to tell you the truth and try to be honest and be a good friend or person. Thank you so much for watching my video.
All right, great. Well, definitely I agree with, I don't know if how many did she make? 15 points or so? I definitely agree with 80-90% of them at least. I mean, I grew up here, and she, I think at the time when she made this video, she only spent, what did you say in the comments? I think 100 days, a little over 100 days in Germany. She definitely picked up on a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, go check her out. If you want to see more videos of her, if you want to see me do more reactions to her videos, then let me know. Montana Showalter. I'll put her video down in the description. It's always cool to see someone actually make a video about their experience in a different country. So yeah, guys, appreciate you watching. If you want to see more, then let me know. If there's any other videos you would like me to react to or do in general, then yeah, let me know that in the comments. Appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.